So we've just come along to this walking fish tank, which is in a not so ideal situation. So basically what's going on is the fish are clearly sick. They've got an infection. Now the reason for that is that there is definitely ammonia in the water. So that water's quite green. I really want that to be yellow. There's not really nitrite, there's not really nitrate. The pH is actually quite acidic, and that's because the KH is 0. So there's sort of a 3 strikes and you're out thing going on here. And then just here, we've got what looks like food waste. This tank is really experiencing what's a bit of a new tank syndrome, because what's happened is some animals have been put into the aquarium and the animals start producing waste, and the animals need to be fed. And particularly when the animals are new and they're not well settled, then they often don't eat. Now we've got some food there and we've got some food here. Now that food is rotting. So this food is, it's okay. This is okay. The other thing is I don't want to see the food open. So see how that's open? Because I want to always make sure that you keep your food shut, because we don't want the food going stale. So always keep that shut, keep the food nice and fresh, because the enemy of food is wet fingers and oxygen. So basically what's going on in this aquarium is it's relatively new. The fish have not really started feeding properly. Excess food has ended up in the aquarium, and then the excess food rots, and then that creates the ammonia. Now the excess food also makes the pH go down and makes the KH go down. And then the problem is it all sort of works together against you, because Sydney tap water often has a 0 KH, and at a 0 KH your pH falls very easily. So it's really important that we get the KH up a little bit, but we can't actually raise the pH while there's ammonia in the water, because that ammonia will be toxic. So what we need to do now is we need to do plenty of water changes, and we need to defuse the ammonia out. Now, once the good bacteria is established in the filter, then this won't be such a problem. But when there's not the good bacteria established in the filter, that's when all this is a problem. If the good bacteria was established in the filter, then the acids produced from the decay wouldn't be such an issue, and it would all stabilize quite nicely. Now, I'm a bit concerned about this filter, the way it's set up, so I'm just going to take that apart now and have a look at it. The other thing that we could look at doing is we could pop down to the shop and ask them to give you some cured marine pure balls, and you could put them in the bottom, because what we're trying to do here is get the good bacteria in. Because when the good bacteria is there, the good bacteria will stop all these problems from happening. But the good bacteria won't do much with the 0 KH. So all of these problems work together. So if we do water changes, get the ammonia down, we then get the KH up. The KH can then supplement the good bacteria. The good bacteria can stop the ammonia from coming. Then when the good bacteria is there, then that should stop the pH from falling. So it all sort of works against you. Now with these AquaL ASAP filters, there's a sponge that's inside the filter. Now when you clean these sponges, what you do is you drain a bit of water out of the fish tank, you just give it a rinse in the water from the fish tank, and it's really important that when you put this sponge back in, the sponge needs to be put in widthways, not lengthways. So it needs to be like this, not like this. To work properly, it needs to be like this. These ASAP filters, the water needs to go in that little gap there. It then needs to pass through the sponge like that and come out the top. You can't have that at the front or it doesn't work, and you can't have the sponge sideways. The sponge has to be that way in order for this to be effective. With the walking fish, this fine sand is sort of preferable, but in order to gravel clean the fine sand, what you do need to do is kink the hose when you remove the water. So then the water will filter through the sand, and the dirt from the sand is able to be released in order to remove the water through the sand, which eventually will get dirty. Fine sand, it's really important to stir it regularly, because you don't want the fine sand going stagnant, because the oxygen can't get into the fine sand, and then we don't want bad bacteria forming underneath the fine sand. So every time you're in there, give it a bit of a stir so you don't have any issues with the fine sand. Then on a regular basis, you just want to give the glass a bit of a clean. Basically, the best way to clean the glass is with this thing. This thing is absolutely brilliant. So we just go and give that a little clean. You Can't go wrong. Tank is lacking good bacteria. It's good to add a bit of stability. That'll help with their good bacteria. And this product is best kept in the fridge once it's opened. Sydney tap water lately has had what we believe to be quite a large amount of chlorine in the water. And chlorine will sterilize the good bacteria. And at the moment, we have a lack of good bacteria in this aquarium. So various good bacteria products like stability can help. Also, making sure that we are not running a KH level of 0 can help. Making sure that there's no rotting food in the water can help. And also making sure that we're putting water ager in any water before we put it in the tank. Just a little bit of that. And that will make sure that no chlorine goes in the tank. The other thing is that the Prime, this product here, is excellent product because if you do get ammonia, this will detoxify the ammonia. It does not get rid of it, but it makes it harmless for the fish. So if we pour a little bit of that in there, the ammonia that's in there will stop affecting the fish temporarily. So if you did that every couple of days until we've tested the ammonia and the ammonia has gone down to 0, then that will definitely help your fish by binding up any ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. Again, it's very important that water ager goes in the water before the water goes in the tank. And then Sydney tap water often has 0 KH. So you also want to add a bit of KH to the water. If you don't add KH to the water, that's going to affect your good bacteria. Then the other thing is that if you use too much water ager, a really high dose, that might make your GH level too high. And then that might make you inclined not to add the GH salts, which are actually really important for the fish's immune system. Now, GH salts really help the immune system of most of these animals. So putting a little bit of a sprinkle in each water change is really good, but it's really important just to be aware that higher GH does tend to really help the immune system of the fish, but over a long period of time, it's not something we recommend. Now, the other thing to be aware of is that if you're overdosing water ager, you may get a inflated GH level. So we want this going in the water, but at the same time, we might have an artificially high level if we're adding too much of this one. I really recommend on a semi-regular basis, bring a sample of water down to see us at the aquarium shop. And one of the things that we're going to be looking at besides pH and GH is definitely KH. Now, KH or carbonates are absolutely crucial for the filter's good bacteria and a lot of the other stabilization processes within the aquarium. So what we're going to want to do is every time we do a water change, we want to add a little bit of KH to the water, and then that's going to allow our nitrification to occur properly and allow our pH to be stabilized. Now, what I'm worried about with this particular aquarium is that it was recently moved, and when it was moved, all of the water was discarded, then new water was put in. Now, we do believe that Prime went into the new water. Now, I'm very happy with that, but according to my tests, the KH did not go in the water. Now, because the KH did not go in the water, the KH level of this water was 0. Because the KH level of this water was 0, the nitrification didn't really occur, so the good bacteria has not worked. Now, I'm hoping that once I add this, I'm hoping that we're going to get the nitrification in the filters working again, and then we will start getting this aquarium back on track. But with a 0 KH, the good bacteria in the filters are not able to do its job, and therefore the ammonia is increasing. And then with the ammonia increasing, we're very scared to raise the KH because the KH makes the ammonia, or the higher pH makes the ammonia more toxic. So there was a string of, let's say, bad luck situations that occurred in this aquarium that wouldn't normally occur in a well-established tank. You can see how well this filter's shooting out. If over time the filter reduces its flow, it's really important that we clean the filter. And once again, when we clean the filter, we're wanting to use water from the fish tank, not water from the tap, because we do not want to kill off the good bacteria. And we want to make sure that when we put the sponge back in, the sponge is that way, it is not that way. A range of foods available for walking fish, including these carnivore pellets. And there's various frozen foods that are quite good as well. Now, depending on the personality of your walking fish, how easy they are to feed between one and another is extreme. For example, when I was a kid, I used to have Godzuki and Godzilla, and Godzilla was an absolute pig. He used to eat everything I put in the tank, and then Godzuki was a pain in the neck. I used to have to chase him around trying to get food into him. So having a little tong like this is wonderful, or anything like this. And then when he's not used to you, or when the tank is new, he pretty much won't take the food very well like this. But once he gets to know you and learns that the stick means food time, then he'll greedily come and take it off the stick, depending on the individual. So you can see that I just put in one then. he's actually showing a little bit of interest. So if you kept an eye on him, if he reverses back and eats that pellet, then I'm very, very happy. If he doesn't eat the pellet, I'm really wanting to remove the pellet because I really don't want food rotting in the tank, and definitely not now. Now, by the way, when the tank's all established and there's lots of good bacteria, missing the odd pellet is really not a big drama because there'll be plenty of good bacteria to actually to break the pellet down. It's only when the tank's brand new or when the tank's just been moved, like in this case, and when there's no KH in the water, that having extra food is such a big problem. Now this guy to me looks like he's actually looking for the food. So I would be leaving this in and giving him a chance to try and find the food. So here he goes. Their sense of smell and their eyes are pretty useless. Oh, see, he wants food. We see that? He just had a snap. So he can smell the food there. Here he goes. This is a very good sign. So considering there is ammonia in the water, this guy, he's going to take it. Here we go. The fact that he's eating, there he goes, he ate it. See, that was a successful feed. And the fact that he's eating is a very, very good sign, especially considering the KH of this water was 0 and there was ammonia in the water. So I actually had no expectations of this animal eating because the water quality was not very good. So we could, by all means, try another pellet. He looks like he wants another one. So we can try another pellet. He's scoping around for another one. But what we don't want is to leave them rotting in the water. So I'm going to try another one now. So now we've got a second pellet there. Here he goes. Yep, there he goes. Ate another pellet. So I'm very happy about this. So giving him some pellets and letting him eat them makes me very happy. Once again, there are products like Vogel that help the immune system. So if we got one to this fella at the back here, I'm very encouraged by this. We've just done a big water change, and he looks like he wants another one. So this is really great. So if we let him eat them and we don't let them rot, then this is a wonderful situation. In the meantime, if we were able to do water changes, so that just means draining half or less of the water out, putting more water in, adding a little bit of GH, KH, and water ager to the new water as you put it back in again, until the ammonia level's 0, then we'll get this tank back on track. And the fact that the fish are still eating makes me very happy. I only really want the light on when you're enjoying the fish. Most of the time, I actually want the light off. And then as far as the filter's concerned, the surface agitation is one of the most important things. I want to see that surface getting broken so the good bacteria is able to thrive on all of the oxygen. Now, once the good bacteria is established in the filter, once again, I would pop down to Majestic and get some cured marine pure balls to put in the back. Then your water should clear up very clear. Now, the only reason why the water's not clear now is because the KH was 0 and the good bacteria was not establishing in the filter. Now, once the good bacteria establishes in the filter, your water should be crystal clear. It's not crystal clear because the waterborne bacteria is able to break down any waste, because the good bacteria in the filter isn't really able to establish because the KH was 0. See, he looks like he's looking for that food too. Here he goes. He's sussing it out. That's a very, very good sign, because he really isn't looking that good. And for him to show this interest in the food, regardless of whether he actually eats it or not, is actually really a good sign. So if we could do half water changes once or twice a week, and you could bring a sample down to the shop once or twice a week, and we can make sure that this stuff goes in the new water once or twice a week, and we control the level, so we'll be telling you whether to add more. Oh, he had a go. He totally missed it, but he had a snap then. See if he's just spitting out some sand, but he definitely wants to eat. Here he goes. It's like a crocodile waiting for its prey. So he knows it's there. Here he goes. And they get better at it, but some of them are really not very good at finding the food. They can't find it right in front of their face, and other ones just smash it. From the personality of one to another. But this guy is clearly interested in eating, and the other guy, we've already seen him eat 2 pellets. I'd just like to get this guy eating. He's smelling it. He's all keen. Come on, dude. Oh, he had to go. He missed it. But anyway, he wants to eat. So I'm very encouraged by this. If we do regular water changes, get regular water tests, we make sure there's no rotting food in the water, and then we make sure that they're actually getting the food. Then once the good bacteria is established in the filter, and I get some marine pure balls in there to establish the filter faster, and away we go. I reckon these guys are going to be okay. They're such beautiful animals. I really love them.